Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Falak Khan, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such corporate titan on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Birendra Singh Negi. Hello, welcome, Mr. Negi. We are glad to have you here today with us on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you so much, Falak. Thank you so much for inviting me here. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let me give you a quick brief about Mr. Birendra Singh Negi. With indubitable qualities like excellence, leadership, and mentorship, he is a true visionary, having left an indelible mark on the professional landscape, enriching organizations and individuals alike. In his current role as an independent mentor, coach, and consultant since March 2020, he has been affiliated with prominent organizations like GLG, Third Bridge, Insight Alpha, Euromonitor Consulting, Link Global, and GlidePoint. He serves as a council member, offering invaluable expertise in research, surveys, and development within the insurance sector. He has also become a respected member of the corporate expert panel at Symbiosis Center for Management Studies, Noida, released FiT365 in July this year, which is an Amazon bestseller, while simultaneously running his podcast, Fitness Fueled 10X. So, Mr. Negi, to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Yeah, absolutely, Falak. Why not? So I began my journey in the corporate world in the year 1994. And I don't know, I mean, most of the people would not have heard this company name. This was an associate company of Sterling Holiday Resort, which was one of the top #1 holiday resort company in the world. And the company's name was Maxworth Orchards India Limited. Now, let me just give you a brief, because this was one of the finest direct marketing company at that point of time. I'm talking about 1994 to 96. I was in Delhi, and the concept was great. I mean, even this concept is great even now. So I'll just give you a brief about that, because this was my first company. So the idea of this company was, it was actually working as a farm manager on behalf of the customers. So the company used to acquire a barren land with the range of 100 to 300 acres across the country, length and breadth of the country. And the company used to sell these projects of acres, 100 acres or 300 acres in some small quantities, like of half an acre, quarter acre, 1 acre, and then multiples to the customers, right? And it was a hit. It was a hit, and it was one of the finest, one of the top direct marketing companies, top, people from all the top-notch institutes in the country of management institutes were there working with that company at that point of time. And I was privileged also that, this was a concept which actually, had it been a success, Falak, we would have been a superpower in horticulture business across the world. So that was a phenomenal, developing the barren land, which is currently not being used for any purposes, and developing that trend in beautiful orchards, cultivating the fruits and vegetables across length and breadth of the country. And I myself have seen about 8 to 10 such projects in the north, west, south part of the country at that point of time. I was being one of the top performers in the team, so I had a privilege of visiting those projects. So I was very confident of selling these projects to the customers at that point of time, not knowing that hamare desh mein kaisa hota hai, what happens in that country. This is legal even now. And particularly when it was related with the lands or the properties, right? So first of all, it was a difficult proposition for acquiring that land, because acquiring a 300 acre of land or 200 acre of land from the farmers, from far off places is a tedious task, first of all. And then there are a lot of legal hassles. So the company initially started very well, but then later on, they actually started getting in trouble. So we were selling the projects, but the one project got delayed, second project got delayed, and the project started getting delayed, right? And many places where the completion of acquisition of the land was also not happened. So what happened was slowly, entire thing got for a toss, right? And this was around 1997, February kind, wherein we came to know that there's something which is a problem is coming there. But still, since this was my first organization, like, so, I mean, you fall in love with the first organization where you work. So I was also there, and I was one of the top performers. I was earning pretty well, in the top league. And slowly, people were not getting salaries. And it was a great company at that point. I'm still, but we were not getting salaries. I worked without salary for 3 months, in this company, and still selling, right? But then later on, I realized that, I mean, obviously I'm working, and I didn't have any second source of income at that point of time, because I post completing my MBA, this was my first company. So I had no choice but to leave and look out for the other company at that point. So October 1997, actually, I started looking out, and joined Apollo Tires, tire industry at that point of time, leaving the Max Orchards. But this company, this concept is phenomenal. I don't know why some of the top corporates group has not even come here. This can be phenomenal business. It makes sense, right? So that was one. And then I moved to Apollo Tires. From Delhi, I moved to Pune, in the western part of the country, and I was working for them. Apollo was number 3, number 4 player at that point of time. MRF was number 1, JK was number 2, CET was number 3, Apollo was number 4, number 5 kind. And this was a very, very aggressive company where I worked, phenomenal. And it's a tough industry actually to work with, selling tires on credit to the customers, which are transporters, to the truck owners, the fleet owners, right? And the market is totally on the credit base. Like, I mean, so this is difficult. And I'll share with you what happened. And Apollo, I mean, since Apollo wanted to be the number 1 truck tire company, right? And it is one of the number 1 truck tire company in India. Even in the world, it has come in the top, tire manufacturing companies. However, I mean, when it was a 4th and 5th player at the point of time, and Apollo wanted to, break into the shackles of MRF or CET or JK, particularly MRF, because MRF was the leader in all the segments. So being very aggressive, they launched, Apollo was selling through the exclusive counter. Have you seen an exclusive, dealer for that particular tire company? Right? MRF also does that. So primarily Apollo was working on the exclusive dealer network or distribution network. Now, the new strategy had come at that point of time. This was in 2000, and they came with a new brand of tires by the name of Kaizen tires. And, the strategy was totally different, like to actually, because, I mean, through the exclusive network of dealers, you can only sell to certain set of customers who are actually loyal to you, and certain set of dealers who are loyal to you. But leaving behind all the multi-brand counters, and the other fleet owners fairly full apart. So this was the strategy that the new channel or new brand which has come, which was from Apollo, but it was not branded as Apollo. It was from Apollo. Likha rehta chota likha rahega ki manufactured by Apollo tires, but it was a Kaizen brand of Kaizen tires actually. So why I want to share with you, because we were actually being being fully there as Apollo guys, like when I joined. And when this came up, I was transferred to Kaizen division, right? And at that point of time, the same market where Apollo was, I was working, and I was taking care of the Sholapur district. It was one of the district in western Maharashtra, a big district, huge district. I was taking care of that, and having our presence of having from let's say 2% of the market share to about 30% market share in this 1.5 years time frame. I was given the charge of taking care of the Kaizen brand in the western Maharashtra, and the strategy was totally different. Like, it was the Kaizen guys, there's a separate team. There's a separate sales team for this Kaizen brand. We were supposed to go to sell to the multi-brand counters first, not Apollo counters. You cannot sell. Apollo exclusive dealers or distribution cannot sell these tires. They will not get this tire, right? And so you can't touch Apollo customers. You can't touch the Apollo distribution channel dealers. Okay. Now it means that completely new thing. Third thing was, Falak, normally tires at that point of time, even now maybe, sales on a credit sale, right? For example, if somebody, even a customer buy on a credit or a dealer buy on a credit, right? Company gives the credit. Like say, if suppose a 10 lakh, money is there, a customer dealer is given, then usko, you'll be the company will be giving about 40 lakhs goods. Similarly, for a customer, if he's buying, let's say 4, truck tires, the dealer will give him 2 tires. He can pay 2 tires cash and 2 tires, in for credit for 60 days or 90 days or even 120 days. So it's all purely credit business, right? But Kaizen was cash and carry. Kaizen was not, a credit. So if any dealer or any customer want to buy, a Kaizen brand at that point in time, which was a new brand, not accepted brand in the market, the person has to give a cash or a DD at that point. So it was pretty difficult, right? So, first of all, it itself was difficult because you are selling Apollo vis-a-vis to the multiple, tire companies. And then now you are also competing against Apollo as well. So it was pretty, at that point of time, even the employees, even my counterparts, my boss who was there and my counterparts or my dealers whom I have appointed, who were Apollo dealers, I mean, there was a kind of an animosity or a competition between. I mean, they were not entertaining me, and I was not supposed to go with them. So that kind of a scenario. So at some point of time, I realized initially that is very very, very difficult and challenging task because I was alone, and I didn't have any team at that point of time because this was just new. And I was supposed to go and do all my thing on my own, like all my networking to the meeting, the fleet owners. First 2 months, I was not able to sell a single tire and that market. And then finally, by, following to one of the fleet owners in Pune market, I cracked my first 10 tire sale to one of the fleet owners. And from there, I mean, we started actually selling. In just, 1.5 years time, 1 year's time, we were actually selling about close to about 10% of the total sale of Apollo overall was coming to the Kaizen brand, which is totally cash and carry. So there we've actually started, and getting into the multi-brand counter was also difficult, because multi-brand counter is selling all the company tire, but you are not offering the Apollo brand. You are offering a brand which is a sub-brand of Apollo. It is not Apollo, right? The customer normally ask for Apollo. I mean, Apollo Amar hai, yeah, Apollo Lodestar hai. This is the brand of the tires that point of time was there. Okay. So, I mean, when the customer comes for Apollo, this multi-brand counter who's selling MRF or JK or Seat or any other company, he can only have a Kaizen, and that too he has to pay fully cash. But finally, I mean, somehow we've been able to manage that, and I was elevated to as a depot manager and transferred to Mumbai. So this was one of the finest, and since then Apollo has been phenomenally well. I mean, it has a presence across all the length and breadth of the world now, presence in many parts of the world and doing phenomenally well. So that's a part of that. And then in 2002, since I was feeling myself as stagnant in the industry because of the same thing which I was doing day in, day out, selling tires to the dealers. That's it, nothing else. And so early 2000, the insurance space came into the picture. Like when the private life insurance came into the picture, the government have, started giving the license to the private life insurance companies in India. And one of my team members was, a sales executive with me. He joined in ICICI Prudential in early 2000, early 2001, actually, when I was in Mumbai, he joined. And then I was following that. So, and I finally also got a offer from insurance companies. It was difficult at that point in time because insurance, it was like just like typically a picture comes at that point of time was a LIC agent. That's a kind of picture which comes in. You go to sell, you go to be after people selling death. So I took about 3 months time after getting an offer from Kotak. I took 3 months time to join this sector. And not knowing at that point in time whether how is my decision going to be right or not. And then look where, I mean, after that, 2002, I joined, insurance, as Kotak Mahindra Life Insurance at that point of time. And I was an insurance guy. Throughout the last 18 years, I've worked with insurance, Now, insurance, Falak, has been one of the finest things which has come to which has happened in the country is opening up the sector to the private life insurance. Now, if you see, at that point of time, only LIC was there. Predominantly LIC was 100%. I mean, insurance lena hai, life insurance, the LIC was there. And initially it was very, very difficult because, people were not believing in any of the private life insurance. There were so many scams, etc., chit funds, and these were happening. But then this is a highly, highly regulated industry by the government. But initially it was damn difficult to, first insurance selling itself is a difficult thing. And secondly, when the private life insurance is there, wherein the company who was the Indian company was there, because normally if you see, I mean, all the insurance company who has got licensed that one time, even now also, primarily had a foreign partner, because nobody apart from the LIC knows how to sell insurance, right? So only LIC people were aware of it. Most of the companies in India at that point in time who got the license, a private life insurance license, they actually got people, some people from LIC and people from the other part of the world from who were actually into the insurance business, and collaborated with a multinational insurance company. And that's how the collaboration was there. Like with Kotak, Old Mutual, Kotak Mahindra, South African company was there, SFC, Standard Life, a UK company. So all these companies had a Thai foreign partner as a joint venture at that point of time. And this has been a phenomenal thing, because at that point in time, if you see, after 2000 se lekar abhi, we are in 2023. Initially, I mean, LIC was having a 100% market share. If we see Palak now, it is almost private life insurance companies share, and the LIC share is almost at neck. Maybe for 48-49% is the private life insurance share is there, and the LIC is there at 52-53%. It keeps on varying here and there. It's close to 50% up. This is something which is there now. So it has actually moved phenomenally well. And insurance, which means that the money which is coming through insurance, policies by the customers, by the citizens of the country, it is actually going, a part of the money is being invested in the government bonds, government securities, and which actually means pulling back this into the economy. So this is actually being phenomenal, for the country as a whole. One other thing so I've worked in various companies in life insurance space, from 2002 onwards. Like Kotak Mahindra was my first company. It was primarily in the agency business. I was taking care of that. And then I've worked for about MetLife for a very short stint with Aviva Life Insurance, with Future Generali. I worked for about 2 years there, wherein insurance typically is was being sold at that point of time, generally through agency distribution, wherein the agents are there. And secondly, with Aviva, I mean, in 2005, we also started selling through the bank assurance, which is the insurance being sold through the banks. And now, if you see, at that point of time, nobody thought that the major chunk of the business of life insurance business, except from LIC, will be coming from the bank insurance channel. Now, today, if you see 72 to 73% of the total life insurance premium business of all the private life insurance companies come from the bank insurance channel, right? So primarily from agency channel, bank insurance channel, and the direct sales channel, or the broker channel, the brokers are part of it, or the online sales channel, which is there. But 2008, when I joined this company, Future Generali, which is a big bazaar, retail future group, which was there. They are in the doldrums now, but the company is there. Future Generali is there. Future General Life is there. Non-life is there. So I joined them as a zonal head for the West, wherein the task was to set up through our sales team, the various format of the mall which were there of Future Group, like Big Bazaar, Foot Bazaar, Pantaloons, which was part of the Future Group at that point of time, and the various other format, Kishore Biani stores and all this. So this was a very, very challenging task, because nobody has sold, life insurance business through malls. And it was very, very difficult in the sense that, because typically the mall, where people come, to buy the groceries or to their own daily needs, not looking for the insurance. Insurance is something which is very personal, right? Which is a one-to-one kind of a thing. Right. So then, I mean, the company is formed, and there's a separate vertical which I was heading, for the entire Western region. Very challenging, and since it was challenging, so I accepted that and I started working. Now, in typically a mall culture, which is there, wherein they operate in every day the mall functions, like and even Saturday, Sunday, the business is pretty high because the footfall is going to be very high. Even the festival seasons, be it a Christmas or a Eid or a Diwali or a Holi or the Shera, even it's going to be more footfall because more number of customers going to be going and buying from malls. Now, at that point of time, since it was a new company, we were also we have some certain limitations. I was heading close to about more than 100 people at that point of time, and typically a mall, when they operate on a rooster, like people work in shifts. People work in shift, like 8 hours shift. I mean, they work because 10 to 11 or 10 to 10, the timing of the mall is there. Wherein our people who are from insurance, we were supposed to be there in the offices by 9 o'clock or by, this was for everybody. And we were supposed to be there in the malls of my team to be there till 10 o'clock. And also we were supposed to be there at any given point of time. No Saturday, no Sunday, no holiday, nothing. So it was practically 24/7, 365 days. So later on, we realized, it was very, very late. And so it was very difficult. Like, you can understand that a single employee, whichever level he was or she was there, they actually have to work more than 12 hours every day, non-stop. And it was actually taking a lot of toll on the people's health as well. A lot of attrition was there. It was more than 100% attrition. It was like that. एक साल में पूरी team बदल जाती थी. I mean, that was kind of a thing which was there. So you can understand that. So, but now it is being changed now. So why I'm telling you, this was one of the prime milestones where I learned so many things. So selling first time insurance through malls format, which came to India at that point in time, this was there. And then I moved on to SFC Life and finally the Tata Air Life, where I was, instrumental in setting up their direct marketing verticals. When I joined SFC Life in 2010, it was we were selling about 23 crores at this particular channel of direct sales. It was only one channel, close to 150, 180 employees in this particular vertical. And then gradually when I left in 2018, actually, it was more than 2,500, 3,000, salespeople are there. And the overall business from 23 crores, we're selling about close to 550 to 600 crores. So that's a kind of and about 5 vertical within direct sales, 5 verticals, having, that kind of a business was there. And then I moved to, Tata AI Life, where I set up the direct verticals. I was taking care of a part of a banker also for them, a DBS bank, and set up the direct, marketing team out there with various verticals and done pretty well. So that's the overall thing about my insurance. And after that, in 2020, I left the corporate world, and now I full-time work on my own as a corporate mentor, where I coach, startup founders and the professionals for mentoring them in their businesses, in their life. I'm also, as you've already said, I'm an author now of a book, FiT365, which is a bestseller in first month itself. I'm also in the SEBI, wherein I, an expert panel team. I'm a freelance consulting for various companies, which is on the, wherein on the insurance aspect of insurance consulting, which I do it for, some of the multinational banks or the mutual fund houses or the other competitors there. So this is something which I do it primarily. And I'm passionate about tracking. I travel a lot. I track every 3-4 months. I go for a track, in Himalayas, in Western Maharashtra. This is something which I do. So that's something which I do it. And, yeah.
So indeed, like a very interesting and adventurous and a wonderful career journey so far, I must say. So in your role as a council member for research, surveys, and development in the insurance space, what are some significant trends and challenges you have observed in the industry, and how have you addressed them?
So typically, the main challenges which we foresee is even now is the attrition of the people. That's one of the major concern of the majority of the people, major of the companies, and or the channels particularly, right? That's something which is there. So wherein a humanitarian perspective or the HR role or the training role or development role plays a very, very critical out there. And that's something which, while I was working on a project with BCG and McKinsey also, that's something which we worked with the SDFC Life and even Tata also some point of time, is that how do we actually ensure that the basic productivity levels of the people is increased year on year? And secondly, how do we ensure that the retention of the people are going to be there? So these are two primarily. Baki to mota mota baga se, but these are primarily two things which as a challenges for the insurance sector at this point of time. So this is something which, and primarily it's not for the insurance, but also, I mean, if you see human asset is one of the most important critical element for any of the companies out there. But insurance, it plays a critical role out there. Yeah, so I think that these two things which we start working on, even the kind of a pressure which people face, employee face, be it for any department in insurance particularly, is very high. It's too demanding. It's pretty high. So it's important for the company, for the leaders particularly, that how do we actually they take care of those teams? How do they actually ensure that they are spending right kind of a time in mentoring them, in empowering them, in training and developing them ongoingly, so that they are actually ready for the new assignment, new challenges all the time. So I think that is something which I have seen that major challenges come from that, from that particular perspective, these two things, right? So for like the challenges for the private life insurance players in the initial years primarily was, as I said earlier to you, is to actually sell the concept of insurance was the first challenge. And secondly is to actually have a kind of a trust from the customer side for the company which the private sector salesperson is representative, right? So initially, I mean, if you see the brand of of the company, selling of that particular brand of the company first for the insurance, and then selling of the insurance, it came to the picture, and then doing the need analysis of the customer. So the three challenges which came into the picture. So that's where it actually started. Now, this is the initial challenge which I was talking about. Now, if you see the overall from the growth of the Indian life insurance industry, if we talk about, then it's a very positive development for our country, as I discussed earlier as well. So these are the financial product which is a security for every person or every citizen, right? Every customer, which is extremely important. Even now, also, if we see current state, not less than not more than 2.5% of the people are insured in the country. Now you imagine 140 crore of the people I'm talking about, and if you include even Jan Dhan Yojana and all those things, even though if you put together, it will not be more than 3.5% kind. So you can imagine that what kind of a business opportunity is there, and how secure the person is with respect to this financial security for the life insurance product is concerned for the people. So it's a huge opportunity as a whole. If you see, there are thousands of companies in America or in other part of the world, but whereas until 2000 we were only one company with the LSE. Now if you see, we have about 27 companies now in India, and the kind of a space which is there available, the kind of business opportunity which is there in India, kind of a shape and size and numbers of people living there is huge. I can say that even if more than 300 companies come into the picture today, I mean, the government allowed the licenses, even those companies can actually fit in that kind of a business which is there, right? So the government is also doing pretty good job, and the insurance companies, LIC, overall business has grown up, so that's a pretty good thing for. And if you see the way, I mean, we are growing every year, as I told you, in 23 years time frame, actually the share is more than 50, is close to 50% for the LIC, and the kind of a benefit which has happened because of this to the customers is phenomenal. So it was very dynamic kind of industry, for the development of the country as well. Now, if you see, for the last done about 25 lakh crore of a business which is actually being generated, which is about and grown to the tune about more than 14% plus CAGR. And if you see, next 5 years down the line, what we perceive, and the forecast data which is there is overall close to about $151 billion of business is going to be there in the next 5 or 6 years, and which is close to about CAGR of about 13%. That's a kind of so huge potential which is still there. And there are primarily, I mean, 4 or 5 reasons because this one is very clearly it's a need of the hour. And insurance is very important. Like before, I just tell you, before joining insurance, I was just having a 2 lakh rupees insurance. Before joining an insurance company as an employee, I was having a 2 lakh rupees insurance in 2002. 2 lakh rupees insurance cover. And when I joined insurance, I came to know what insurance actually play in the role of one's life. And now, every 6 months or every 1 year, I ensure that myself and the people close to me, my friends or my relatives, or maybe people who are known to me, I tell them that, I mean, you need to actually go and do your need analysis for your insurance cover, which is needed. Right. So that is very important. And because if anything goes wrong, if somebody is a one earning member of the family and he's dead, then who's going to come to rescue the person's family? Who's going to take care of the education? So these things, we normally as a human being, we don't believe that we are going to die, but eventually everybody is going to die, right? When we don't know. So insurance actually then takes care of that particular risk, right? Hence, so I mean, if you see, I mean, we actually insure our houses, we insure our vehicles, we insure practically everything where it is compulsory, right? If you buy a Mercedes or a BMW, you got to have a compulsory insurance every year, right? Because you know that if you're going to get caught, one, you're going to pay a huge penalty, And secondly, you also don't want that if your vehicle, meets an accident, you don't want to pay from your pocket. So for something which is a non-living entity, there's sufficient insurance there. But there's something which is a full-fledged person asset which is generating that amount of money, whether it's a company or an employee and working in the company, what is the actually value, financial value of that particular who is generating that amount of money or the wealth today and the next 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. So that where the life insurance plays a critical role. So hence it is very, very important, right, for everybody. So now, also if you see we are a rising economy. Growing middle class and a huge disposable income is there. With large growing middle class, the income and disposable wealth is continuously on the rise, and it's going to be there phenomenally high, in the coming times as well. So this is leading actually to the increased demand for the life insurance product as well. And also not only the saving plans, but also now the term plans with the protection plan is also coming to play. And the more so, I will say that one is the private insurance companies are playing a critical role out there. At the same time, the government of India also is playing a critical role in actually ensuring that the group selling the group policies of protection to the people, like with Jan Dhan account, life insurance cover, or maybe the health insurance cover. I think this is a very positive sign for everybody out there and for the growth of the industry. So that's critical. Also, if you see, the lot of financial awareness is also there. Now, we are Indian, as India, we are becoming financially aware, and understand the importance of life insurance also. If you see, gradually it is phenomenally, but gradually it is increasing. And more so, if you see, COVID times actually shown the entire world that how important the life is. And you got to ensure that you have a sufficient life. And post-COVID, the life insurance premium has also grown up because many people have started demanding that now, right? Also, if you see the kind of a distribution network, initially LIC also, if you talk about, they were primarily selling to the agents. Like even if they have more than 50 lakh agents out there, even more than that. But then primarily depending on that particular one channel. But with the coming of this, private life insurance, they've actually shown to the industry that how, which all areas or which all verticals or the distribution channels can be created, and where the bank insurance, came into the existence, where the online channel came into the existence, whether the small insurance channel, the broker channels, multiple channels started actually, taking shape, and where LIC is also now, falling in place in those verticals also, not they're phenomenally very high, but then yes, they are also understanding the need of their particular channel. So expansion of those distribution network across is also doing pretty well, which is actually rising for this particular thing. With the coming of these things as well, we see when the competition is there. So now today, if you see, there are 28 life insurance companies are there. So there are a lot of competition. There are huge benefit in terms of the service which is there. Like, and now, if you see now today, if we don't need to go to the bank, for our any thing, we can now do all the thing online as well, right? That kind of a service which we expect from the private sector bank. No, the government sector bank also need to, give that kind of a service if they want to be there in the business. So similarly, in insurance, what happened is the private sector life, the way they settle the claims, the way they started, selling the product to the customers with the need-based sales, the way the positioning of the product has started going, and the way the ULIPs has started, unit-linked insurance plan has come, the way the various kind of a product in the protection category also, which is actually being custom friendly and with a limited payment, or maybe a lot of riders being there so a lot of innovation has been there in those products as well. So with all those things, if you see, that has actually been a boom for the and this is actually shown that the industry is going to be there on the right path, and it's actually contributing phenomenally to the peoples and to the economy of the country, right? So that's something which is which I wanted to yeah.
So you've been involved in various transformation projects such as Project Udan with BCG and the project with McKinsey for the agency department. Are there any common methods that you have applied across all these roles, simplifying the task and delivering good outcomes?
Oh yeah, Falak. One of the key things which I learned, while working on these projects for about 1.5 years time frame, both with agency, even bank assurance team and the direct sale channel as well, is where we've started focusing on what are the 3 key tasks which a salesperson or a customer support person need to take care of. I'll just give you an example, right? What is important for a salesperson for a salesperson, because why I'm saying a salesperson, because life insurance business, 80% of the employees are sales, right? 80% of the sale employees are sales for any of the life insurance, the insurance companies put together. So hence, I mean, since 80% of the team is your sales team, so we need to understand that what is there which is important for a salesperson to do his productivity, do his complete his target. What is important? We found that, the first thing which that the input, the kind number of meeting which that salesperson is doing on one particular day, that. So we came to know that it was haphazard. We know that, but then there was no way of measuring it. We found that the sales team, whether it's a banker, whether it's an agency, whether it's a direct channels, we were not measuring that thing, right? There was no mechanism of measuring those things, right? And also not only measuring those things, but also we found that, there's no clear-cut, a process that this is something which is a mandatory thing for you for one particular day or for one particular week. Let's say, I mean, if we see that, from the organization side, from the support side or training side, if you see, for a person, if you want to, sell 3 policies or a 1 lakh rupees premium on a month, I'm talking about a frontline guy, he need to ensure that he need to meet minimum 3 number of new people every day. Now, how these 3 people he's going to meet? He's initially when he joined, he's going to, contact his friends or relatives or his, neighbors, that sort of society. But how this person is going to, move forward then? Where the company's role come into the picture? So how the company can actually feed those number of leads to that particular frontline sales guy, be it a direct, be it an agency, or be it any other channel as well. I think that is something got clarified, and that's something which, in SFC, we started actually feeding our frontline guys with that. And then how these people are, actually moving on to that particular thing. So, is those 3 meetings are happening? If it is not happening, what are the reason of that? How are we tracking that? Secondly, what kind of support is the line manager is doing? What kind of a thing with the training is doing? So basically, the follow-up on the number of customer meets, number of follow-up customers, number of joint call with the line manager or the leadership team along with the frontline guy. This is primarily more or same for all the verticals, right? And how the closure or how the service. So these 3-4 points was being actually tracked, and we actually empowered, people. And on the reviews front, on the weekly reviews front, the monthly front, we started actually tracking the people on the inputs part. Earlier, it was only from the output part. I mean, how much business have we done? Not knowing actually that what has actually gone for the input perspective. So these things came out very clearly. We actually standardized those things, and everybody, right from the frontline guy to the national level person, I mean, everybody was tracking on those particular things on the input parameters. These 4 critical parameters. Another thing which also came into the picture at that point in time, like, I mean, if you see the Ola or Uber, how do they actually, the driver or the customers actually real on-time meeting which happens, like the whosoever is the Uber driver is nearby, you tend to get that kind of a driver for you, so that, I mean, you don't lose the time for the meeting, right? So similarly, we started actually working on so although it was not great, but I mean, we've been able to, track that as well. So without that, I mean, suppose somebody is, from Borivali, somebody is staying in Borivali, or some offices in Borivali, and he is going to meet a customer in Fort, right? Then, I mean, the kind of a time which is going to travel, uska aane jane mein, I mean, I feel like it's going to be 3 hours. So how that person is going to make 3 calls in a day? Practically, it's not possible. So with that particular thing, with the tracking mechanism, with a kind of a geo sensing, and with the kind of a online platform availability of the kind of a online, with the call center team, we've been able to track that what is the, where the location of the lead, and who's going to be the nearest person, salesperson can go and service that person. I mean, when we started doing that, we saw that the productivity started increasing, right? And we saw that the quality sales started happening. We saw that the lot of need-based sales, started happening. So that's something which we saw in the direct sale team, in the agency team, which we actually saw that these are basic thing, not, talking about the, bigger aspect of the basic thing, which actually, started working, and this actually started fetching the result for the company. Yeah.
So moving on, we would like to ask, I mean, could you share some insights into the book that you have recently released, which is the best Amazon seller? Like, what is it all about?
So Falak, I mean, this book, FiT365, as the name itself suggests, I mean, it's about the fitness now, and it is not just about the physical fitness, but it talks about the fitness in all the 5 aspects of the life, right? So, obviously, I mean, all of us, always, we look for majorly for 2 things in our life. One is primarily we look out for love, affinity, and relationship.
Right.
That's something which we're looking for all the time. And financial, money. These 2 things, primarily, we as a human beings,
Right.
majority of the people, we are after, we want these 2 things in our life. We are after these things, not knowing that how this thing is going to, how do I generate more money? How do I ensure that I've been, get the freedom in my finance areas? And how do I actually ensure that all my love and affinity, my relationship with my family, my spouse, my teams, my organizations, my communities, how do I actually fit in that? So primarily, if you see what I've been able to figure it out, over the last 6-7 years, is that I need to have physical fitness. I need to ensure that I'm physically fit, right? Physically fit. And I've been able to do that. In my case, I mean, if I talk about the last 6 years, I've been working on it. I dedicate certain hours in a day compulsorily. It's more than 3 hours every day, which I give for my physical fitness and mental fitness, right? So that's something which I started working on the last 6-7 years now. And I, and there are various things which I do it. Like it's not just about going to the gym and doing some exercise or doing some yoga. It's not about that. It's a multiple of various things put together which you do it, right? It's about, that's one aspect of it. Eating is one aspect of it. Sleeping, resting, one aspect. Exercise is one aspect of it. Various aspect of it, right? So that's about fit. So if I'm not physically fit,
Right.
if I'm not physically fit, will I be able to enjoy my money? Well, even I have $1 billion in my account, will I be able to enjoy my money? Or will I be able to enjoy my love and relationship with my family if I'm not physically fit? I mean, if you see, I mean, when you're not well, एक छोटा सा fever, थोड़ा सा fever अगर आता है, but like, if you, I mean, you don't feel, having a sip of water also, because you don't taste water, right? So that's what I see, that, I mean, we got to be physically fit. So, I mean, that's something very, very first aspect. Secondly, being physically fit is fine. You do all those things, but then am I mentally fit also? So, I got to ensure that I'm mentally fit as well. So what are the things which I do so that I'm mentally fit? So, and this is the energies we talk about. There's a physical energy or the financial energy or fitness energy we talk about. The mental energy. What I think which I do for my mental fitness. So the kind of people which I meet, the kind of a conversation which I do, the kind of a friend circle which I have, the kind of community which I reside in, the kind of a book, the number of book or the kind of quality of the book which I read, or whether do I read or not, the kind of my scriptures or my religious scripture which I read or not, right? So the kind of movies which I watch, the kind of content which I listen, or podcasts, or maybe the movies, what do I actually do? That is something which I'm doing. Or what kind of a maybe ritual which I practice for my mental thing. So I mean, there are various things which I need to do so that I'm mentally fit as well. So I'm physically fit, I'm mentally fit. Also, the third thing which is important is my spiritual fit. Now, what I mean to say about spiritual fit is not about a religious. It's not about a religious thing at all, because all religion talks about the one thing, right? It's all we human beings, we actually mix all those things together. Being spiritually fit means, which I talks about in this particular book, is that what is my goal in life, Falak? I'm a human being. I'm born as a human being, right? What am I here for? See, I and you, Falak, are here for a specific point of time. We are born and we're going to die, right? I'm 53 years old. Maybe another 40 years, 50 years, I'm going to die. Maybe I'm going to live more than 100 years, that I know, Falak, right? Because obviously the way I've been able to, experience my breakthroughs and all the aspect, in the last 6 years, 7 years, I don't take any medicines. For the last 7 years, I don't take any medicines, and I will not take any medicines. I actually, the practices which I follow, the rituals I follow.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something which, and I know that, I mean, I'll not be able, if any emergency comes, that's a different story altogether, but I'm not going to have any medicine, allopathic medicines whatsoever. I'm going to take them. I'm going to live for 100 years. But still we are here for a limited point of time, right? So, but I'm here for a limited point of time. What is my role? What am I here for? What I want to contribute? I'm a human being. My job is to contribute. What I'm here for. Like if you see a mango tree, what is a mango tree does? Mango tree doesn't complain that is baar barish nahi hua hai falak. Yeah, it has not got the fertilizers on time. As and when the mango season comes, the mango tree is going to give huge mangoes, large quantities of sweet mangoes, year on year. That's what something which a mango does, right? So as a human being, what is I'm talking about that part. What is my goal? What is that which I want to contribute actually? So it's important for me as a human being to understand that. And I think everybody need to really ask this question to himself or herself, that what is your role is that? And when that thing is clear to you, if these things are clear to you, if you are physically fit, if you're mentally fit, and if you're spiritually fit, which means that you know that what actually is your goal of your life, these are the stepping stones for your financial fitness and your social love and relationship, right? You just can't get a love and relationship or a money just by like that. But so these 5 aspects of fitness, which is there in this particular book, wherein it has to be equal in all aspects. It's not just, and maybe, I mean, when I was working in the corporate sector, primarily my 90% or 80% of my focus was clearly earning money for working, for making money. That's it. And mostly, I mean, when I converse with many people even now, I mean, we are after money, neglecting, our health, neglecting our, passions, neglecting our families. Right. So while I was talking to you, Falak, about that, I don't take any, I've experienced that while working in the corporate world. I saw that many of the people, especially in middle and senior leadership people, most of the people, more than 70-75% people, they are having lifestyle diseases, right? 1 or 2, maybe, or 3, maybe, or something or the other. And people are pretty okay with that. They are popping those pills prescribed by the doctor, and they're pretty okay with that. Cool, no issues as such. Not knowing that tomorrow, after some point of time, these are going to be, having a effect on your health, on your mental health, on your physical health, sooner or later. Not taking it. So, if you see from the organization perspective, if you see what can an organization do that? If you see, know that some issues there with the organization actually is going to take care of that immediately at that point of time. If the organization does that, why as a human being we don't do that? Why as a professional we don't do that? So the entire book revolves around that particular thing, wherein, and that's my mission also, that Falak, while telling you about my spiritual goals, my spiritual fitness, I want to make a difference out there in 10 million professionals, corporate professionals, and the startup founders out there in the world, so that they actually are fit in the holistically across all the areas of these five areas. That's a mission which is mine, and I'm working for that. And this book is one of the aspects. Mentoring to the startup founders, and the professionals is another aspect. And that's something which I, so this book is all about that. Falak.
That's really indeed a great thought, I must say. Yes. So we want to know how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
So yeah, so as I told you, Falak, if you see, my mission, when I actually been able to get that I want to make an impact out there through my mentoring, coaching to these people, and I was just bumped into the Facebook ad at one point of time, maybe 1 year back, maybe, or 9 months back. And then I registered myself for the webinar, and I have been to the webinar. I saw that this is something which is actually can make a huge difference out there. When I'm because obviously working in as an independent directors in the company's board, one can actually impact that particular board itself. You can impact the entire organization particularly. So this is one of the aspects which is actually, so it's a larger front, a larger aspect where it can actually impact more number of people. This is actually falling fit into my mission actually, which is there. So that point of time I realized that this is something which I really want to do it. ESG also is the new thing which is there, wherein the environmental and social and and governance, which is talked about, the new thing which is going to be there across the world. So there I generated the interest, and then I registered for this particular thing, and really looking forward quickly in my due course of time for this taking of this as board directors and a couple of companies and sooner.
So our next question is also on the similar lines, like as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
So, I mean, if you see, for like, I mean, ECG, or in the corporate governments, I mean, if you see, a lot of things that change in the world, and India particularly also. I mean, the way the business has been run now, the ECG actually has transformed the way business operates now in the country or in the world particularly. And even the valuation of the companies now been there on this particular thing. And today's on the social and the environmental, perspective, right? That's something which is very, very clear, which is emerging now, and it's going to be the future now, right? So you can't, run away from that. This is going to be the future. So by embracing these principle of ECG, which is environmental, social, and governance, these companies primarily, I mean, can achieve the desired, sustainable goal, for themselves, for their customers, for the shareholders, and for the in a very, very positive way for the entire humanity, or for the society actually. So now with the integration of the ECG into these corporate world particularly, I mean, wherein a lot of investment decisions have been taken now, and so that this is a need of the hour, you can say that. So this is a necessity, we can say that it's a necessity and a responsibility for the prosperous future of the companies of the world. So what I think is that which I can impact out there is the kind of a knowledge which I've been able to generate with my learning of the modules, and understanding of the ECG in a deeper perspective, with the corporate governance principles and the practices. Which, so I mean, this my learning and my training and development on this particular aspect with the latest regulations, latest trend which is there, and the best practice which can be there, and those companies out there, I can actually implement and guide and develop this particular thing to those to the board of directors, boards of the companies out there. Like simply, I mean, if you see, let's take an example, Falak. I mean, if you see, if suppose the company is planning to launch a product, let's say any of the manufacturing product that they want to launch, which is a new type of material for in the coming time. Now, the company's ECG report says that it's true. It's true from the material perspective, the kind of a material which is being product is being designed. They are true. However, not only from the materials and environmental, the social aspects also need to say that. So as an expert, one need to actually find out that the material is sustainable, from the environmental perspective, and is up to the mark. But if you see the material is produced in the kind of a the community, or maybe the location, or the country, or the geography in the world where they're the treating of their human beings, or the people who are manufacturing there, is not good. So maybe there is a question which I need to really raise as an expert, right? So what we can do them. What are the proactive action we can take? Even though if you launch the product because the material is good, but then what is that which you actually can do that, which is actually set the and change the standards of or signing of the code of conduct to set up those standards in terms of the labor practices or the manufacturing practices of the human rights of those particular people where there's not. So this is one example where the company can actually start, really doing those regular audits and the operations checklist where we can do it. So this is something which can actually do those kind of a thing which we can actually make an impact out there. And secondly, if you see while training and development on this particular aspect of on ECG and the corporate governance, now the ability to identify and assess these government the governance risk, actually, the ECG or the corporate government risk actually, and the opportunities. So that's something which has been fine-tuned. So I can actually help or identify those companies that what is there from the these risk perspective, from the ECG perspective, risk perspective, the corporate governance perspective, where the opportunities lies or where the opportunities are limited. That's something which can actually, and accordingly the development of the strategies can actually either to mitigate the risk or capitalize on the opportunities that can be done. So primarily, I mean, these things, and also in terms of implementing of those practices to the corporates, that's something which we can work it out on the ECG front and the corporate governance programs. That's something which we can actually start working on, and then the way the communication got to be there from both the aspects, also not only to the board but also the stakeholders and out there to the entire company per se. That's something which we can actually say that. Apart from this, I mean, if you see my the experience of 25 years in the corporate world, apart from this, I mean, what again I can actually bring in forth is, the ethical conduct of doing the business with integrity. That's something which I can, because I'm committed for conducting myself in an absolute professional, an ethical manner, the way the ECG and the corporate governance work. Similarly, from the working with the people out there, and that kind of ethical conduct is going to, so that's something which I can actually, and this I coach to my startup founders actually, and the call which I was sharing with you a few months back, so I was coaching and mentoring one of the, person who was developing a cancer product, treatment product from the Ayurvedic side perspective. So that's a company which is doing it, and they've actually got a patent, 19 product patent they've actually registered for themselves now there. And I was telling from that perspective, right? Secondly, the impartiality wise, how to the board or to the company, with looking the things from the objective perspective, from the data perspective, and being impartial, as a third party, really not being favoring to the company or not being favoring with the other side of it, but actually being completely as an impartial way of doing the business, so that actually you do justice to the company and to the stakeholders out there, to the environment also, and to the customers as well. Thirdly is the the confidentiality. Obviously, I mean, this is part and parcel, and the collaboration, the teamwork. I mean, these are certain other things which is inbuilt now, being there in the corporate world for so many years. That's something which I can say that, I mean, this is something which you can actually bring forth to the table, right?
That's wonderful indeed, and we wish you all the best for that.
Thank you so much.
So, as you know, we are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So, what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken about by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Hemal Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
Well, I think it's an awesome and amazing initiative which you guys have taken it up, because even I was I was aware of being the board of directors, but I was not aware fully that what can be the opportunity, what can this community can actually bring forth, creating a powerhouse, powerful resources of the people as an asset, and the expertise which has been created were actually ready to make a huge impact out there in the corporate world. That's something which has been there in a big way. So that's something which is there. So I think that way, I mean, it's doing a huge contribution. I mean, that's something which is there. Secondly, I mean, if you see this platform which you guys have been able to build up is, for the professionals, right? Is that first is the awareness of the opportunity which is available out there, right? And wherein they can contribute in a big way to the corporates and the companies out there. Secondly, also to bring the best in those particular expertise and talent, so that they can actually fit in and make a huge difference out there and across the industry. I think these two things primarily can make a huge, and third is, of course, is a networking connections, and that's a different thing altogether. But then these two primarily, with I think that in terms of contribution, in terms of awareness and opportunity available, which has been given to the people is phenomenal. And there's a huge contribution which, as a team, you guys are doing, and really making a huge contribution in India's economy out there. I mean, it's a huge impact, because today, I mean, if the board is stronger, or if the kind of a result that the company is going to produce tomorrow is going to be phenomenal. So the independent directors can make a huge impact out there in the outcome of the performance of the companies, and which is both from the economic perspective, from the customer perspective, and from the corporate perspective also, right?
These have been really kind words by you. So it was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Birendra Singh Negi. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. And all the wonderful different teachings that you've shared, the different principles that you live by about your new book and your wonderful career journey so far. I'm sure, like everyone watching this, it is going to help them grow in their careers as well. So thank you so much for being with us today on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you so much, for it was wonderful having discussion with you. Thank you so much, and all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.